Okay, so this video is we're talking order of operation with powers. We've already talked about this today, but this is just to kind of see how we're doing with it. So second opportunity. So this was a skill testing question in a competition. 6 times, and then in brackets, 3 plus 2, and close brackets, minus 10 divided by 2. Which answer is correct? 5, 10, 15, or 25? So this is for you to kind of see which is the correct answer. So you should all try this. You might want to pause it, try it, and then see which one you get. I don't know yet because I have to do my order of operations. So after you found an answer, press play again and see what we find out. So obviously we have to think about our order of operations. There's no exponents, but there are brackets or parentheses. So we have to do that first. So we're going to get 6 times 3 plus 2 is 5, and then minus 10 divided by 2. Now the next step we do is we multiply 6 times 5, and then we also divide 10 by 2. We can do those both at the same time. They don't affect each other, or you can take 2 steps to do them. 6 times 5 is 30. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 30 minus 5 is 25. So that would be our correct answer. Now, if you chose to do it in a different order, you will get a different answer. So it's really important that we follow order of operations. You may have noticed over COVID, if you're on like social media, there was a number of people posting problems, mathematical problems, and really it came down to, for a lot of them, following order of operations to get the correct answer. Now, another thing we can do here, use each of the digits 2, 3, 4, and 5 once to write an expression. It says the expression must have at least one power, and the base of the power can be positive or negative integer. The expression can use any of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and brackets, and then evaluate. Now, then it wants you to evaluate the expression. This is something for you to explore. You can create different questions. I could go 2 times 3 in brackets to the power of 2 minus 4 times 5, and then find my solution. So play around with those. It says each once. So I'm actually can't use this 2 twice. So I can do it like this. Yes. So I only use the 2 once. So 3 to the power of 2 minus 4 times 5. You can play around. What you should notice with different expressions is depending on what order you put them in and which expressions you use. So for example, I could go 3 to the 2 plus 4 times 5. I'll get a very different answer. I could go 2 to the 3. And I could times 5 minus 4. I will get a very different answer. But you can play around with your order of operations to see what you get. Now, to avoid getting different answers when we evaluate an expression, we use this first. So the brackets first, B, or we also can say P. I prefer B myself. Then the exponents, then multiply and divide, so DM or MD, and then add and subtract. And that's our order for doing our operations. So it's BEDMAS or PEDMAS, depending on, I think in Europe they use PEDMAS a lot, and maybe even in the States, but I've always heard BEDMAS, and I've always called it brackets. So brackets are exponents, brackets are parentheses, then exponents, multiply and divide in order from left to right, add and subtract in order from left to right. So we're going to do a few practice questions, taking a look. So the first one, 3 cubed plus 2 cubed. You have to do the cubing first before you can add them. So we'll get 27 plus 8, and that will equal 35. We have to do our exponents first. Second one, again, we have to do our exponents first, our power. That's 2 times 2 times 2, which gives us 8, and then we can subtract. Here, add first because this is in the brackets. And we're not adding because it's adding, we're adding because it's in the brackets. So we'll get 3 plus 2 is 5 to the third. So we'll get 5 cubed. Okay? If you go in different orders, you're going to get the wrong answer. And so this is kind of universal globally. So everybody in the world will get the same answer. Okay? So let's look at a couple more. Here we have 2 times negative 3 cubed minus 6 squared. We have to deal with what's in the bracket first. So if I look down here, I will do this first and get minus 27. Then I have to multiply next, right? So I get minus 54. Then I subtract, and now I can do the exponent. And you can see that the steps are outlined there. Okay? Follow your order of operations. The second one, it talks about using the calculator to evaluate, but we still have to watch our brackets, right? So for the first bracket, you can see 5 to the 0 is equal to 1. I actually kind of want to do this question. I don't like this use the calculator thing. I want to do it. So we'll go up here. So we're going to do this first and that as well. So I would get, when I do that, in that bracket, 18 squared is, what is 18 squared? I think it's probably 324 looking at that. 18 squared. It is 324 plus 1 squared divided by negative 5 cubed. Okay, so next step, I've got 325 in the brackets squared divided by, well, what's negative 5 cubed? 5 negative, the cube is on all three, so it will be negative 125. 325 squared is 105,625 divided by negative 125. So I'm going to divide that by negative 125, and I get negative 845. Let's see if they got that here. They did as well. Now this is talking about how to use your calculator. With order of operations, if they're super complicated, you're going to want to write those steps out and go step by step. If you just plug this into your calculator, bing, 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 you probably will get the wrong answer. So you have to still go piece by piece. Now some examples here we can walk through. Again, we're going to follow our rules. So I'm going to write this out. They're pretty straightforward. 3 squared minus 1. I'm obviously going to do the exponent first, which is 9 minus 1 gives me an answer of 8. D, 3 minus 1 squared, same digits, same numbers, different order of operations because it's set up differently. I have to do this part first. When I do that part, 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared equals 4. Let's look at these. So let's look at F. F, 2 squared minus 4. I'm going to do my exponent first. And I'll get 4 minus 4 equals 0. H, 2 minus 4 squared. So I have to do what's in the brackets first. Bedmass, B. And I'll get not negative 4. Booyah. Negative 2 squared, which is negative 2 times negative 2, which equals positive 4. And then J, 2 squared minus 4 squared. Well, I can do each of these first before I subtract. 2 squared is 4. 4 squared is 16. So this will be negative 12. Okay, so you can see they're all 2's and 4's and 2's. It's just that arrangement's going to lead us to different answers. Got a few more examples here. And at any point, I advise you to pause, try them yourself, see if you get the same answer. And then, press play when you solved it so that you can see what if you got the right answer. So here, 2 minus 3 cubed, we're going to do what's in the brackets first. 2 minus 3 is negative 1 cubed, which will be negative 1. Negative 1 times itself 3 times is an odd number. D, 2 plus 3 cubed. Again, we do what's in the brackets first. So we're going to have 5 cubed, which is 125. F, 2 divided by 2 cubed. Again, we do what's in the brackets first. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Cubed is 1. And then finally, I was going to go to G, but I actually have H. 2 times 1 cubed. Again, we do what's in the brackets first. 2 times 1 is 2. Cubed equals 8. So, same digits, very different answers. Now, there's a few more examples here. They're a little more complicated. So we really have to kind of figure out what we're doing here. So let's start with D. Not 9 squared divided by square bracket 9 divided by round bracket 3 squared. Now, we're going to do what's in the brackets first. Yes, we are. 9 squared divided by, well, 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3 squared. Now we can do each of these before we divide. 9 squared is 81. Negative 3 squared is 9. It's positive 9. I'm going to make a note of that. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9 because that 2 is on the whole thing. 81 divided by 9 is 9. Now let's look at E. E. 2 squared times 1 cubed squared. Okay, we're going to do the brackets, but inside the brackets, before we multiply, we're going to do those exponents. So we're going to get 4 times 1 squared. 2 squared is 4, 1 cubed is 1. Now we have to do what's in the brackets first, 4 times 1, and then we can square it. So 4 times 1 is 4 squared. 4 times 4 is 16. One last example. We're going to do F here. 11 cubed plus 5 squared to the 0 plus 4 squared minus 2 fourths. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to this. Oops. I'm going to actually do it a little differently. This. This means the whole thing here is to the 0. So that whole thing equals 1. In the other bracket, I have 4 squared, which is 16, minus 2 to the 4. 2 to the 4, which is also 16. Now, when I solve this, 16 minus 16 equals 0. So it's 1 plus 0 equals 1. Hopefully that was a nice refresher. We did a lot more this morning, just to get you familiar with order of operations.